hospital center that is in my area. Dude, they've been sending me freaking checks out the ass the past couple weeks, and I was like, screw it, I'm gonna go cash them out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's $28 here, $50 there, $50 there, another $50 there, and I'm like, I know we're not going to the doctor that much between me and my kids, but screw it. If they want to give me some money back, that's great. I'll pay it.
Yeah, because it adds up, man. It starts adding up real quick.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I deposited $458 in checks from the regional hospital center, whatever, in my area.
That's a lot of money, man. That's a lot of money.
That's what I'm saying, and that's within 3 weeks of me being off. I don't know where all this, I don't know if I hit my, what's the word
Your
for
cap?
it? Yeah, my cap, whatever. Yeah, there's Flitzy, after he didn't want to answer earlier.
Yeah, this fucking guy. Oh, God. This fucking guy. That is fuck. Anyway, hold on. Finish it. So you was depositing all this bread, and what happened?
Yeah, man. So I'm walking in the bank. I threw all the checks in my wallet, and I went to work, and I was like, I'm gonna put these checks in the bank after work, dude. Straight up, I'm walking up to the bank. This girl gets out of her car, and I'm looking at her, and I see her, and I'm thinking, damn, she's really fucking pretty.
Hold on, let me ask you this, just to clarify: are you a tit guy or a man or an ass guy?
I'm a tit guy, but she had no fucking tits. So this girl was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm sitting there, and I'm walking up to the bank door or whatever, and, I see her kind of slow down a little bit. All right, so I open up the door for her. I get a good look at her face.
Yeah.
She looks at me, and I'm thinking, I'm like, damn. Like, why the fuck do I got to be looking like a goddamn thug right now?
Yeah.
Because I straight be looking like a thug when I be at work.
Yo, but some women like that shit, bro. For real, some women like that fucking tradey look,
Oh. So I'm sitting there, I'm standing behind her in line. I did the right thing. I was being real chivalrous, and I held the door open for her, whatever. All of a sudden, that girl, loud and clear. I mean, she was quiet when she was talking to her accountant. Quiet as hell. And all of a sudden, yeah, I work at Longhorn. And then she looks directly at me, and I'm like, all right, I got your message. All right. Like, damn, all right. I finished before she did. I was happy to stand outside the bank and wait, ask for her number, whatever. This girl was straight fucking gorgeous, though. I mean,
1 through 10. 1 through 10. 10 is the most beautiful thing you've seen. 1 through 10.
I put her on a fucking models level, 15, 16.
No shit.
Straight up. This girl was absolutely beautiful.
Like she's your girlfriend material. What you're saying? You fucking dog. You fucking do everything. You could lick her ass. Everything. You get it in. Like she be
what
done.
What with you and licking ass?
No,
bro?
I'm just
dog.
I'm just saying, man. You do everything for her. You give her the work. She break her back.
Long story short, Megan, you know her by Megan, but my ex-wife is the only one that ever really truly took my breath away like that. And this girl took my fucking breath away the same exact way.
No shit.
And I was just like, all right, bet. So I'm going up the Longhorn at some point in the near future to try to get her damn number.
Yo, do you know her name?
No.
No?
I'm one of the... Straight up, I'll walk in the Longhorn. I don't give a damn. I'll walk in the Longhorn, look that hostess in the face, and say, "I need you to line up all the skinny, white, gorgeous brunettes." And that one's gonna be my server. I promise you, I'll figure it out. And I will know if she's working because for some reason, the whole mindset of everything that I do with my security aspect picked up. And dude, I mean, I memorized the first half of her license plate. I know what color her car was. I mean, I was just like, you know what? I got this.
So she already in the bag. She doesn't know it. She's already in the fucking bag.
Dude, I'm telling you, like, but so then I'm sitting here. I'm at work today on Facebook.
You try to find that bitch?
I'm sitting. No, I'm on fucking Facebook, man. Straight up. I've had 5 chicks hit me up on Facebook today.
What are you gonna do, man? What are you gonna do? You gonna practice on them to make sure you got your moves right and go for the kill, or are you gonna go for the kill and keep these chicks on, as backups?
I mean, I'm chatting with these girls, but I mean, the other side of that is like, dude,
This chick, you really like this girl, huh?
When I tell you that girl took my breath away.
Hold on, now let me ask you: does she look like the other chicks you sent me pictures of? Does she look like them? Like a Southern Belle looking like girl, but brunette?
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, that's what's up, man. What do you plan on going over there and and giving her the business?
Probably sometime next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta make it seem like some crazy shit.
Yeah, you gotta walk up in there. Oh, didn't I see you at the bank? I know you from
like,
somewhere.
I know you from somewhere.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know you from somewhere. Yeah. And then instead of a tip, you write your fucking name on the back of the receipt. Be like, hey, girl, you best give me a call. And you leave her like a decent tip, so she's like, oh shit, this guy cute, and he got bread.
What you do is you drop that that $200-300 tip on there. They gonna call you at some point.
You fucking trip.
Typically within the next 5 minutes, and then boom, you got their number.
Yeah,
I can't accept that tip. Yes, you can. I already put it on there.
Yeah.
Believe me, that shit works too. I've done that shit in the past too, just to get their damn number. Put a nice big fat fucking tip on that shit. They'll call you in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Especially down here in the South. I'm not looking for charity. Who said it was charity? I thought you were really pretty, and I wanted to leave you a nice big fat tip. That's not my fault.
Yeah. You should have had them sexy looks. Yeah.
I got the money to throw out there. I'm gonna throw it out there if I want to.
You excited as fuck. Huh? You sound excited, bro. You sound like you're about to do what you were gonna do to Scarlett Johansson on this girl.
Mm.
Let me ask you
Yeah,
something.
let me tell you, she's up there. I mean, when I say this girl was drop dead gorgeous.
Let me ask you something. You gonna pull out?
I'll try to knock that bitch up if I can.
That's what I'm saying. How gorgeous is she? You want to have baby mama gorgeous or just a fucking hit it and quit it gorgeous?
Hey, baby mama gorgeous is a bad terminology for me because, wow, my baby's mama is gorgeous on the outside. She's ugly as shit on the inside. So that terminology doesn't really work for me.
Yeah.
But no, I don't want any more kids. I love my kids to death, but good God, they're a handful. They've reached that age where I'm just like, no, I'm done. I can't do it again. So, and finally, for the love of God, it took forever, but Megan finally wants to sit there and get a lawyer involved and everything, try to get this divorce finalized.
Yeah,
and I'm like, great.
Yeah,
I was like, you got a lawyer in mind? And she goes, what do you mean? She goes, I don't have the money to pay for that. And I said, fuck that, I'll pay for it. I'm like, we got to get this shit over with.
Yeah, that's good. That's good shit. That there's no more procrastination, man. Cause you want to get that shit done.
I think the realization hit that she realized the child that she is bearing right now will literally be considered a bastard child if she doesn't get this divorce finalized. So.
Yeah, because ain't nobody gonna sign that fucking birth certificate. Don't you fucking dare sign that bitch. That fucking don't
Well,
sign that shit for nothing, B.
no, I ain't gonna sign it. But see, this is the way the Georgia law is written is so like.
If you're married to her, it's your responsibility.
Yeah. So because I'm married to her, the child is automatically my responsibility. But if I go up there the day that the child's born while we're married, and I do a paternity test, I'm off the hook, and I can refuse rights to my last name and everything else.
Well, hold on. Let me ask you this. And this is I do not have any clue of when it's feasible. Can they literally the same day that kid pops the fuck out? Can they do a test right there? Or they gotta wait a certain amount of days or what?
No, they can do the test right there because they pull blood and everything else for all the other tests that they run.
Cool.
When they take the baby to the back, they run a shit ton of tests on the babies.
Cool.
So they're pulling blood as it is. They don't do it right there in front of the parents because you're gonna have a bunch of parents sitting there going, "What the hell are you doing to my child?" You know?
Emotional bullshit. Yeah. So you want to get the test done then, so then they can tell you how fast can you find out?
Instantaneous.
No
if
shit.
It's blood work.
So it's the same day.
If it's blood work against blood work, they'll find out within 10 to 15 minutes.
That's fucking what's up. So then that's gonna help you out. Then you're gonna sign. It's not gonna be your kid. Let me ask you: you sure it's not your kid, bro?
I know for a fact it ain't my
I
kid.
bet.
I ain't hooked up with her in damn near a year now.
All right, cool. So it's not your kid. So then that's gonna be you're gonna be off the hook. But you want to get this divorce finalized before all that happens, because then you're gonna get more excuses of I can't, I'm tired, I don't have any time. You want to get this shit done before that kid sees the light of day, you know, the divorce shit.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Pretty much. But so what'll end up happening is because she's still legally married, if this child is born before the divorce is finalized, basically what'll end up happening is because she's still legally married, nobody else can sign off on the paternity certificate saying, yes, I'm the father.
That's fucking crazy. So even if the test says like you're not the father, if you're married to her, no one else can sign.
Exactly.
Is that just a Georgia thing, or is that like a general thing?
All I know is that's how it works for Georgia. I don't know how it works for all the other states, but I know that's how it works for Georgia.
Holy shit.
And it's solely based on the fact that it's more so like a quote unquote punishment.
Yeah.
For stepping outside your marriage.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So I can refuse rights to my last name. I can say this child is not allowed to bear my last name, which automatically makes the child have to bear her maiden name.
Yeah.
And he can't even. So I know it's a boy, so he can't even carry the last name of the guy that is the father.
Yeah, until you're divorced. Once you're divorced, then he can carry whoever he can carry the other dudes.
They'd have to spend another $2,000 to do a legal name change.
Yeah, but that's not. Yeah. If you don't get divorced before the kid comes out, if you get divorced before the kid comes out, everything is normal. It's him and her. You're out of the picture.
Yeah, pretty much.
Damn, bro, I learned a lot today, B. Shit, man. How much is this story going to cost?
It's basically what I told her. I was like, look, she's like, this divorce needs to be done. And I was like, finally, you're getting on the same page as me. Like, I've been telling you this for months. And she's like, well, this baby isn't waiting on anybody. So, I kind of realized that this needs to happen. And I was like, well, I'm glad we're on the same page. She's like, and man, I think it was yesterday. Dude, I was deadbeat tired yesterday. And I told her, I was like, look, I don't want to meet up today to deal with the paperwork stuff. Like, I'll print out whatever it is that you lost, and I'll fill it out, but I was like, we're not meeting up today because I just don't have the energy. She's like, and she said, you want this baby born with your last name? I said, shit, that baby's going to have my last name for maybe 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And she's like, what do you mean? And I was like, I'll go up there and do a paternity test in a heartbeat. Oh, yeah, I'm in labor. I bet. I'll meet you up there.
I think you as a father, do you know what hospital she's planning on going to?
I know exactly what hospital
Yeah,
she's going
I'm
to.
pretty sure that, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that you can request the hospital call you if somebody of, and then you give the specific name, goes and has labor, and they're in labor or they're there, you can have them call you, you know, because they want you, they want the father to be there, you know, just in case something happens or to sign some shit, you know.
Yeah,
Yo,
I mean, I know exactly what hospital she's going
yeah,
to, and it's exactly what I told her. I was like, that baby will hold my last name for like 30 minutes. And she's like, what do you mean? And I said, I will go up there, I will do a paternity test out of my pocket, because it's a $600, $700 test.
yeah,
I will pay
that's
for it out
nothing.
of my pocket,
Yeah.
and then as soon as it comes back saying I'm not the father, I'm refusing rights to my last name.
Yep, and I'm sure the hospital's seen it before and they'll see it again, so they already know the process. They know the procedure. Sir, sign here. Ma'am, sign here. Sir, have a nice fucking day. You dodged a bullet.
Oh,
God bless America.
and see, that's the thing is I already told the hospital too, because obviously they've got records saying that she's pregnant, and she's doing end of March, April, beginning of April, whatever. And I told him, I was like, look, I'm going to do a paternity test. This isn't my child. And, have the paperwork ready. And, oh, we can print it up right now and put it in her folder.
Yeah,
all right, cool.
fuck yeah, dude. That you got a fucking bitch in hospital. Fucking hell yeah, dude. Yo, let me tell you something real quick, bro. The day I got divorced, I fucking didn't cry, dude, but I got very fucking emotional. I got like, honestly, dude, like my stomach just, I shit and I piss and I was just like, oh, like I felt like a huge sigh of relief, dude. Like, that's gonna be you. You call me, motherfucker. Yeah, what's up?
It's a very mixed emotion.
Yeah, man. You fucking call me, my nigga. The moment you find out you got divorced, you fucking call me. I'll fucking pop a brewski. We can fucking bullshit about it, man. Cause you're gonna feel so fucking weird that day. But the longer it goes and the more time it goes, you're gonna be so fucking happy, dude. You're gonna, honestly, bro. Like you're gonna be so fucking happy. Cause you can feel when you make a good decision. You're gonna be so fucking happy, man. Like you're gonna look at your kids. You're gonna be like, man, I love these fucking kids, and you sacrifice so. I'm telling you, man, it's gonna fucking, it's gonna hit you, bro. Just like Slitzy says, it's gonna hit you, man, in a good way.
Well, yeah.
You know?
And I know that. And see, that's the thing is like, I know the divorce needs to happen. I'm not necessarily saying I want to save my marriage and everything else and whatever the case is. I fought for my marriage, and I fought tooth and nail for it. So I can die happily today, knowing that I fought for my marriage.
Yeah.
But the day she told me she was pregnant, I was done. I was like, you know what? That's it for me. There's no saving this any way I look at it. It's not even get a divorce and 10 years down the road, we work things out. And no, she burned that bridge. I'm done with it. I'm at peace with that. And honestly, I'm happy with that decision. It's not necessarily
You're not doing it out of anger. You're doing it out of like the chapter's closed. You're okay with it closing the way it did.
Yeah, well, it's more so me just being at peace with my decision and being at where I'm at in my life. And it's one of those things where it's like, okay, great, fine, and dandy. Yeah, I know for a fact, and I can openly admit, I do know that I will probably be emotionally distraught that first week, because nobody like your first marriage, nobody wants a divorce.
Yeah, you're
That's
right.
just the reality of it.
Yeah, you're right.
It's probably going to be like, okay, I got married and it didn't work the last time. And I struggle with it now, even with the girls that I date. I sit there and I'm like, damn, I'm getting kind of close to this girl. I need to back the fuck off.
Yeah.
Because I just don't have that trust. I really don't. And I hate to say it that way, but unless
And
you
then,
know, something
and then it's gonna,
miraculous just
dude.
absolutely falls in my lap out of the blue, kind of like what happened yesterday.
Yeah. Well, dude, it's
It
gonna
just
change your perspective, bro. Like, let me tell you something. I saw, dude. This is just me saying. This is God doing this, man. Cause 2 weeks ago, I saw my ex-wife, and no shit, bro. Like when I saw her, I didn't even check her out. I just saw her, and I didn't even see her as a woman no more. I just saw her as like an animal, as like a thing. I didn't have any connection with her. I just saw her, and I'm like, nah, whatever. That's what's gonna change with you, man. You're gonna see your ex. You're gonna be like, huh? Like you're not even gonna check out him. You're just gonna be like, ah. Like you're gonna get to a point where you're just so disconnected from that person, dude. Like next time she tells you, "Hey, I'm
well,
pregnant again," you're not even gonna give a fuck, you know?
the difference between me and you in that aspect. I had kids with her.
Yeah, you did, man. You're right. There is a massive difference.
So that I mean, you know, there's no matter no matter how I look at it, even if we're emotionally disconnected or whatever the case might be, no, it's not. No matter what, I'm always going to end up having love in my heart for her because she's the mother of my kids.
Yeah.
And you know, and I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit resentful of that because it's like for me, I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan of, you know, wanting to, or not necessarily wanting, but willing to put my life on the line for somebody like I would for her and call somebody family that isn't family. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But
Yeah, you're thinking like you're already thinking years ahead. You're thinking way ahead.
Here's what it comes down to. Your pride. Your pride got hurt so bad that you're not willing to put it out there again. It happens to everybody that went through a divorce.
He's onto something here.
I know what it is, man. I went to months and months of therapy when I went through my divorce, man. I read countless numbers of books on it. And it comes down to guys with their pride. Your pride was hurt, mine was hurt. Anybody that's going through a divorce has had their pride hurt.
and see, you know, I'm not going to disagree with that. But the only reason why I would say that I disagree with it is because I did go to therapy. In reality, I struggle very hardly with, well, struggled. I've gotten a lot better over the past year, but for a good moment there, I struggled very hard with depression and anxiety to the point that they said I needed to be on some very hard medications. And my work would drug test me and say, you have to get off these medications or you're fired. So I had to figure out how to cope with it myself. And the thing about it is they had, but I had talked to, when I talked to the therapist originally, this bitch literally had the audacity to sit there and say, you just need to man up and get the fuck over it.
No fucking way. That's what that fucking motherfucker said?
That's why I haven't gone to therapy pretty much since. That and not learning that my job was going to fire me if I took the medications that was needed.
Yeah, that verbiage was incorrect. The way the therapist, that's not the proper verbiage for what the message was supposed to be.
That's correct.
I mean, that's the problem is because the therapist said that. I've not given therapy a chance in the slightest. After, I'm just like, okay, well, if this motherfucker's saying this, what's the point in wasting my time and going and explaining my story and talking to somebody else about it? That's my whole philosophy.
Whoever that was did not do you a favor.
Yeah, dude, that was 100% like the system failed you there, bro. Because I've been, yeah.
Well, and see, that's the thing is like I know they did. I know that they didn't do their job, and I know full and well that, you know, they got a shit ton of money for saying, okay, you need to suck it the fuck up.
Yeah, dude, because I have no shame in saying it. I've been to fucking 4 psych wards, my nigga. Like, after you go to 8 fucking wars, you get fucked up. And nobody ever once spoke to me in anywhere near what they told your ass, dude. what they would tell me is they're like, listen, it's gonna take time. You gotta talk to people about it. The more people we tell, the better. Keep your circles short, and just make sure you get warm clothes, food, and sleep, and time heals all. If somebody would have said that to me, man, I'd have snapped. I'd have fucking been like, what the fuck? You know, I would, because I was unstable as fuck. I would have snapped, dude. I'm surprised you didn't snap when they told you that shit.
I'm not gonna say I didn't snap.
Yeah, okay, yeah. All right. So we're gonna assume you didn't.
Like,
you know,
like real talk.
Yeah.
This is not something I tell a whole lot of people, but I mean, literally, what that therapist told me that day, I straight up almost killed myself that night.
God damn, nigga, shit. You know, if you ever need something, you need to touch somebody, you hit me up, nigga. You already know that shit. I don't go to sleep till 5 a.m. my time, bro. That's 8 a.m. your time. You ever need someone to talk to, man? Anybody, hit me up.
Why would you kill yourself and pay that price? I understand, but the hell with that, man. I'm not biting a bullet because of some chick or a mother or my kid's mom, whatever. Is then no good to anybody else.
It was a matter of the overload of the depression of trying to save my marriage, paying all of her bills and my bills for 7 months. It was, like I said, I fought hard for my marriage. Even after I moved out, I fought very, very hard for my marriage.
Second layer next to pride is financial.
Is that what it says?
So it was, I mean, the thing is like, okay, so I struggled hard with going through my family splitting up. I struggled hard with fighting for my marriage and fighting a losing battle. I struggled with what the therapist said, and just everything. I mean, my job. When I tell you, like, it was in specific that in that week, it was back to back to back. When they say it rains, it pours. And shit, I went through literally. I might as well lived in the rainforest that week because it was nonstop pouring. And she said she wanted a divorce. Okay. Then my kids were saying, obviously I was upset, and I was lashing out aggressively in some aspects. Now, I wasn't like actually hurting anybody, but I was being very verbal. I was attacking my kids. I was attacking my ex. I was attacking my folks. I was attacking everybody. So three days in a row in specific. First thing, my ex said that she wanted a divorce. We split up. We were arguing a ton. And I said, I can't deal with the arguing. I've got enough to deal with at work. I'm going to go stay with my folks for a week. I was trying to get out of the situation. I wasn't running away from the problems. It was just me trying to just bring a little bit of peace back into the factor. So then it turned into I was abandoning my kids, and that I was neglecting my adult responsibilities and everything, and that I had and my kids the next day, the very next day, had told me that they had wished that I wasn't their father, and that I would just pass away.
God damn, bro.
That was seeds planted by the ex.
Yeah, because they can't.
I know it was.
Shit. Yeah.
And see, that's the thing is I know it was. But then literally the next day at work, after me lashing out at work, I had a coworker sit there just blatantly tell me, do the world a favor and go lay out on the train track and let the train run you over. Then I talked to the therapist, and then the therapist said that shit the next day. So that was 4 days in a row that I was basically told to kill myself.
Yo, man, how come you never hit me up, bro? Did I tell you I said hit me up when you need something, B? You know you can confine me, man.
Like,
you can confine me in whatever you need.
That's the thing is, it's like me now, I'm in a better place. Yeah. I'm happy with my life. I've got my kids. My kids adore me. Everybody can hear that on Discord when I'm telling them to go to bed, whatever. My kids prefer to stay with me over their mother.
Yeah.
I'm in a good spot with my job, other than the guy that told me to go lay out on the train tracks. Me and him still butt heads, and I have
But
blatantly told him.
you
I
realize
had blatantly told him that if he ever even hints at any insubordination again, I'm going to fire him on the spot. And so he has not said a word to me since.
But you realize that if, let's say, if he would have said that to somebody and they would have acted on it, he could have went down for some shit. You know, because he
Here's
pushed.
the thing: that individual probably went through some really nasty shit, and misery loves company.
Yeah, you ain't fucking lying.
I mean, I don't care. To be honest with you, this specific guy that at work, I could go to work tomorrow and they can say this guy got hit by a car. Honestly, I don't care. And I'm not that kind of person. Me and this guy have butt heads since I've started working there, and that was almost, let's see, I started working there in 10 years ago. I'm not that kind of person. So when that therapist had told me that night, I mean, straight up, I was just like, you know what? If I'm causing so much discomfort and problems with everybody in the world, what's the point? The only thing that stopped me, and literally the only thing that stopped me was my kids.
Well, I'm glad you did, because I'd be down a healer.
Yeah, you gotta give me some more content from my YouTube channel, bro. You can't go now, you know? You cannot fucking go now. I'm about to milk your guild for all it's worth, you know? For real.
I mean, it's just, that's just the reality of it. Yeah. It is just like, there's so many people out there, and it's one of the things that I've actually turned to. There's so many people out there that have a story like mine or similar to mine or whatever the case might be, and I try to help them. I try to make an impact on their lives just as, and go through and get through the problems that I had. It's not necessarily because I want to be this, you know, great thing that had came into somebody's life, but it's because the truth of the matter is everybody's life is worth something. Everybody's life is worth something. And it took me a very long time to realize that.
There's something else that we drive for when we help other people, and that's the knowledge of knowing how can we help the next person better. And that's what you're doing right now. You've taken that negative and made something positive out of it.
Yeah, man, it makes you a better person too, man. You look back, you're like, man, I can't believe I was there. And now you're looking back at it, and I'm like, man, you've come a long way, and it's just more motivation to keep doing and keep going and keep pushing. And then you know what else I also learned? My dad's a piece of shit, so I didn't have the encyclopedia of knowledge that I could tap into. But your son's gonna have that, bro. If your son ever needs to know something, guess what? You're gonna answer all his questions. And if you can't answer his questions, you're gonna know where to get the answer. You know what I mean? So he's already a leg up with all the stuff you're going through. It's just he's gonna be living precariously through you based on the things that you went through that you didn't like. You're gonna make sure he goes through that shit and he has you as support.
It's like they say,
yeah,
education's expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean the other aspect of that is like, okay, you put my spiritual belief into it. So my spiritual belief into everything, obviously I'm a Christian, and you know, I do see certain things that play repeatedly. And one of the things that you read about is if there's some kind of sin that's committed, until somebody says, I'm not committing that sin, the next 4 generations are going to go through it. Okay, well, I'm praying and hoping that my kids don't go through this stuff, obviously. But, you know, maybe I was an impact of her parents' sins and her grandparents' sins, because almost her entire family has gone through the whole divorce factor. Her mom had gotten pregnant, you know, pretty much the exact same story. And it's like, okay, so is my daughter going to go through this? And that's the part that kills me. And, you know, like I told my kids, 2 weeks ago, you know, I sat them down and I had a very in-depth conversation with them, and I explained to them. I was like, you guys can ask me and tell me anything, and if you don't want me to tell your mother, I won't. This can solely stay between us unless I feel like it's something that can possibly be life-threatening, and then I have to talk to your mother. And they said, okay, well, we have a question. And I said, or my son said, he goes, I have a question. And I said, okay, well, what's that? And he goes, so why did you and mommy split up? And I was like, well, I said, sometimes things don't work out. And, you know, I said, it's unfortunate. I said, but I don't ever want you to think that for a second that I don't care about your mother. And they're like, well, what if somebody, and I mean, my son went into lengths about it. He was asking me, like, what if somebody broke in and they had a gun? I said, well, hopefully somebody's going to call 911 and then they're going to call me. And he asked me, he's like, well, what would you do? And I said, well, first things first, I said, I'm going to go over there and I'm going to try to take the person out. I said, because you and your mother is my top priority in that aspect. And I said, and they're like, so why would mommy, and my daughter cut in at this point, and she said, well, why would mommy be a priority? My kids are already catching on that she's the reason for all of it. And I said, well, the truth is I still care about your mommy, and I said, I still have a lot of love for your mommy, and that's not going to change. And, you know, then my daughter was confused, asking me, like, well, if you still love mommy, then why aren't you with her? And it was like, I had to go into some extreme detail saying you could love a person and not want to be with them. And they're like, well, how does that work? I said, well, do you love me? Yeah. I said, you don't want to be with me. And they're like, no, you're my daddy. That's gross. And I was like, exactly. I said, your mommy's family. I said, regardless of everything that had happened, your mommy is family, and I would gladly die trying to protect her and you guys. Because don't think I won't go over there and kick a freaking door down if I need to. So the kids kind of backed off a lot after I explained all that to them, except for last week. You know, last week they had to ask a bunch of questions. So why God, what's the proper wording for this? Why I would be willing to die for their mother, but he constantly says a bunch of bad things about me. And I said, that's because your mommy holds a lot of grudge in the aspect of and they're like, well, what did you do to her? And I said, it's not necessarily that I did anything to her. I said she holds a lot of grudge in the aspect that I make way more money than her and her boyfriend combined. And her life got a lot harder. She can't go out. I said, you guys can't go out there and see your grandma and grandpa to the other side of the country because your mommy is the breadwinner in the house now. She stops working, she's not going to make any money. I said, it turned into a completely different aspect for her, and she holds a grudge against me because I have my financial state and I have everything in order. And then they went into another question of why does mommy always call you when we're acting bad? And I said, honestly, I don't really have much of an answer for that. I said, that's the only thing I can think of is that you guys know that I don't mess around when it comes to you guys acting bad. I just like the way I expect you guys to act when you're with me. I expect you guys to act that way with your mommy. Said, but you guys don't seem to think that you guys aren't gonna. You guys seem to think you aren't gonna get in trouble if you're acting up around mommy. And it's just like it's gone into a whole length of questions directed at me for things that she's doing, like why is the baby not mine? Why is etc. And it's like I don't have answers for all the questions, so I'm trying to resort to as much personal insight as I can, kind of like what you were just talking about, Z. And it turns into a lot. I mean, and I don't half the time I don't know the answers.
Yo,
And that's
man,
the
but it's important.
fortunate side of being a parent. It's the fortunate side of being a parent is you will never know the answer.
Yeah, but you're doing a good job, man, because it's very important that you try to do your best to explain these questions, because they probably asked these questions to somebody else. But if you try and give them your best, explanation of it, and they're gonna understand, like, well, Dad said this and Dad never lies, blah 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 blah. And then that question where they're asking, how come your mom is like this and you're like this? They're slowly learning. They're slowly learning, like you said. They're slowly learning, like, who's who and what's going on. And kids are smart, man. They're fucking smart as fuck. And they might not see it, but they know what's going on. They can sense when there's problems. So this is a hard conversation to have, and especially like everything you've been through. This is some hard stuff, but you just got to make sure you do what you did, man. Just answer the questions to the best of your abilities and just give them the best answer you can. And time will tell them if what you told them was true or not. You know what I mean?
Well, and see, that's the problem that I run into is because as much as I'm trying, like in general, as much as I'm trying not to talk bad about their mom, like even just in personal conversations where my kids aren't around, whatever the case might be, I refuse to talk trash about their mom. She is a good mom, and I will back that 100%. But the problem that I'm running into is my kids are starting to more so reach they're starting to pick sides, I guess is the best terminology I can put for it. And it's like, okay, so I'm explaining this and I'm not saying anything bad, but their mama's saying bad stuff about me and whatever the case is. Okay, she's trying to turn my kids against me. Great, fine, and dandy. I know my kids are smart, and what's happening is okay. So they're having this little check box in their head. They're old enough to do this. They might not be old enough to fully understand it, but they're putting little check marks. Okay, mom says bad about this, but dad doesn't do this. Mom does this, but dad doesn't do this. And okay, dad's trying to talk to mom about A, B, and C, but whenever I do this with mom, she automatically has dad be the bad guy and get on to us, whatever the case is. They're doing little check marks, and I've even explained this to their mom, and I was like, look, you're going to turn your kids against you. And she's like, no, my kids love me, this, that, and the other. And now I've got my kids in my ear saying, I don't want to go back to mommy. I've got my kids in my ear saying, can I stay with you longer because I don't want to go over there. And again, I have to jump back and be the bad guy and say, no, you got to spend time with your mom. You need to be with your mom. And because I do firmly believe in the 50-50 co-parenting aspect where a child needs both their mother and their father in their lives. So as a responsible parent, I have to sit here and say, you need your mother. The selfish side of me obviously says, no, you got to put your foot down and do what's best for your kids and everything else. Okay, well, what's best for my kids is having both parents in my children's lives. But I know that my parenting technique is working far better than her parenting technique. Okay, so now I'm in a bind. And whenever there's a neglect factor coming into play, you bet your ass I'm talking to their mom about it, saying you cannot do this, and she'll try to throw things in my face. Well, you can't do A, B, and C, and it was like, look, my kids are happy. My kids want to spend time with me. My kids want to be with me longer than they want to be with you. I already have them on the weekends when they're not going to school, so you have them after school, and they don't even want to spend time with you after school. I'm like, that should be a huge red flag for you alone, without me having to say anything. So it's just like it turns into, and then that turns into another argument. And I've got pictures and text messages and all this other stuff to prove that she's neglected her responsibilities as a parent.
Yeah, but you're always, as a man, at least me, I hope that you're the same way too. You're always going to take the path of lesser travel. You got to be the big dog. You got to be the adult. You got to set the example, even if it doesn't benefit you. So you know what I mean? I know you're gonna always do what the best thing is, but I like to think that you're always gonna like you say, don't talk shit about her, nothing. You're always gonna be the better person. You know what I mean? Even though regardless of how hard it is, I know that you're always gonna try your best to be the better person. And it ain't fucking easy, man. You fucking know it. It ain't no fucking joke.
And yeah, you're right. I do know it, and that's the thing is like, but see, and that jumps back to the original statement of I'm comfortable with where my life is at. I'm happy in the direction that it's going. It's not, endless nights of me getting freaking drunk off my ass, or, relying on a quarter to half a bottle of liquor just so I can go to sleep.
Yo, no bullshit. During that time, we did laugh a lot, though, bro. You gotta admit, we were having a good fucking time during those times, man.
Hey,
but I know what you mean. You're past that.
We might have been having a good time, but I mean, if I'm gonna be honest, man to man,
you were sad. Yeah, you were sad. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of those laughs were pointless.
Yeah.
I mean, what good is having memories and laughs and all that other stuff if you can't even remember them?
Yeah.
Well, like that, that's the reality of it. Like, and that's the problem I have with people heavily drinking, and I try to help them out. I don't understand the concept behind it. I don't, because even though I was in that point where I was 100% being alcoholic, I don't see the point. Now I'm at a good point where I'm like, okay, I had a nice rough day at work. My body's hurting. I'm going to pour myself a drink. I have a drink. Great fun and dandy. But I knocked the edge off. I'm in my little happy place. I'm not forgetting anything. I'm not dysfunctional as a human being. And it's like, and that's the thing is, it's like a lot of people, and that jumps into a whole other conversation, but a lot of people don't realize alcohol is 100% a freaking drug.
Yeah.
And I don't like that I went through that phase. I don't like that my kids saw me drinking that much. I don't like that family saw me drink that much. I mean, my work was impacted. Everything was impacted, and it was like it turns into a whole other conversation that I'm not going to get into. But it's hard to lead by example if you're not setting the right example.
Yeah, man, but I'll tell you right now, you definitely, you're in a lot better fucking place, bro. Like, straight up. Like, you're in a fucking better place. Because I remember a lot of that shit. You're in a better fucking place, dude. Like, you sound more focused. You sound more relieved. You sound, like, less stressed. You sound a lot more happy. You know what I mean? It just, you just sound in a way better fucking place. If somebody were to meet you now, they wouldn't have a fucking clue that you went through the shit and back, But sometimes you gotta go through that shit to make you a better person, man. You know, even if you were a good person already, sometimes if it's in your path, it's in your path, man. Nobody can do nothing about it. You're gonna have to walk through it, you know.
Yep, and that's another thing I try to live by is let the past be in the past. So, one thing I try not to do is hold grudges. Might be hard sometimes, but it's grudges lead to resent. Resent leads to bad judgment, and bad judgment leads to a bad chain of effects. So, it's just one of those things where it's like, okay. I mean, at what point do you actually win? That's my whole that realistically, that's my whole thing. Is like no matter what you do, one way or the other, every decision you make is right and wrong. There is no 100% right choice. There is no 100% wrong choice. Well, 100% wrong choice that can be debatable, 100%. But it's just one of those things, man. Like. Every right choice has a consequence. Every wrong choice has a consequence. And granted, obviously your right choices are going to have a lot of benefits, but, you know, even the right choices causes heartache and causes
sacrifice,
discontent. Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's to me, that's just the life we live, and we have to learn how to cope with it and, you know, say, okay, well, this is the route that I took. This is the route that I need to embrace. I don't know, man.
Well, I just want to say something right now. Anybody need to talk to somebody, you hit me the fuck up. All right, anybody you need to talk, anybody who's listening or whatever, you message me or whatever, no matter what time of the fucking day it is. The moment I get the message, as soon as I can, I will reply. And just so anybody knows, anything we talk about, if you want, it can be 100% confidential. You can tell me, hey, man, I want to strangle this fucking pigeon. And I'll be, all right, man, don't strangle the pigeon. You know, we can talk about whatever the fuck you want. Just so everybody knows that don't be doing no crazy shit. Anything can be talked about, and it's not that fucking serious. Like, you could be going to something and you think it's serious, but then later, after time goes by, you can realize, well, it wasn't that serious. You know?
Okay, on a side note, why has it got to be a pigeon?
Yo, man, I'm just trying to say some bullshit, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? This fucking guy.
Why has it got to be a pigeon, man?
Like, I was gonna see a chicken from that Zelda game because they fucked me up that one time. Remember? I was gonna say that shit, but I was like, nah, I can't throw that bad in here.
The only thing I don't want to know is where the body is, man. Don't tell me.
No. What if I call you up?
Usually the body's at the bottom of a water filtration plant.
Stuck somewhere, getting chewed up by the fans.
No, so it's sad and it's true, and I'm sure Felicity's probably heard this, but water filtration systems are by far the best hiding spot for a dead body. The fact that I know this is probably disconcerting, or not disconcerting, but is concerning. But it's something I learned in my economics class, actually, when I was in high school. Not economics. God, what was it? Ecosystem science, something, I don't know, some weird terminology. But because of the way water filtration systems work is they're constantly pushing oxygen in to get all the bacteria out. When you're pushing the oxygen into the water, the body is automatically going to sink to the bottom, and they don't clean out a water filtration system for at least 6 months, and the body will be decomposed, and they can't run any tests to see if it was a murder, how the murder happened, whatever the case might be.
Hey, Jose, go send everybody to the sanitation department. That's it. Stop burying fucking dudes in the woods.
I don't know. I put all my body. I mean,
This fucking guy over here. Hey, yo, Cal, appreciate it, though.
I live in Georgia. That's how it works down here. We just throw them in the woods, but...
Yeah, all the Hispanics would like to thank you, Cal. They would like to thank you.
No, seriously, the water filtration system is extremely bugged, and also off the coast at a certain point beyond the coast, the body is deemed unrecoverable, and they will stop the search completely. Even Coast Guard won't go after it. Navy, Coast Guard, whatever the case might be, they won't. They see a random dead body floating beyond a certain mile point from the coast. They will not even pull it out of the water. They will not look at it. They will have nothing to do with it, unless it is one of their brothers or sisters.
Yo, Kel, if you ever need a job, the cartel was on the phone with me here, said that we could use you as a counselor. You know what I mean? So.
The cartel, yeah, there you go. Hey, I've made big money doing that shit. That's just saying.
You're about to make more money with all this knowledge you sprinkling on me. You know what I mean? Shit, we about to have you fucking.
I go back to the van option.
Keeping it in budget, you know? It's fucking good.
Oh, God. No, my buddy who's tied up in law enforcement actually told me all this stuff. He actually came to me, and he was telling me, he goes, you know what? He goes, I've learned that everybody who's tied up in law enforcement is really messed up in the head, because this is 90% of our conversations. And I was like, what are you talking about? And then this is when he started telling me all this stuff. And I was like, are you serious right now? And he goes, yes, I'm being 100% serious. And I was like, dude, the hell?
Absolutely right. He's 100% right.
Pigs. That's another thing. Pigs are a perfect animal to have around if you're a murderer.
Yeah, they'll fucking.
Because
have you seen it? Have you seen them?
They'll eat anything. They will eat anything.
Yeah, but have you seen it though? Have you heard the fucking bones crack, bro? That shit ain't no fucking. They just slobber it down, dude. It's like, even with clothes on and shit, it's fucking nasty, dude.
That's what I'm saying, man. He's told me some pretty disturbing stuff over the past few years, ever since he got on the road, and it's just like, Mike, I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to tell me all this stuff. And he goes, yeah, but he goes, I know you're never going to rat me out. So I was like, I might not rat you out, but I might refer you to a freaking psychiatrist. Like, bro, you need some fucking help.
Yeah, dude. Yo, let me ask you something a little bit more personal. If you don't want to answer, that's fine. But just out of curiosity, when you get out of the line of work you were doing, did they send you to like psychologists and shit to make sure like you're good to go and shit? So
you're worthless to them once you leave. So no, they don't.
So once you leave there, they don't send you to workshops so you can blend in with society or nothing. They're just like, thank you for everything. Have a nice fucking day. That's it.
They don't even say thank you for everything. They tell you beat it.
Just like that, man. That's fucking crazy, bro.
You sure that's not just the New York attitude?
What's that, man?
I said, you sure that's not just the New York attitude?
No, that's the Department of Corrections attitude, man. You're worthless to them once you're not there anymore, because there's 100 people that they still need to work, so they don't have time for you.
That's so fucking nasty, bro. That is like that is so fucking bad, dude.
That's wrong. I mean, straight up, that is 100% wrong. I mean, these people. This is my thought process when it comes to the Department of Corrections. Is 98%, 99% of the corrections officers are in harm's way. They're in the jail system with murderers, child molesters, aggravated assault cases, whatever the case might be. You got all these crooks in here that are aggressive and everything else, and they don't have any weapons with them.
Yeah, they're just
just
waiting just waiting for you to turn your back so they can fuck you up, man. You ain't seen all those videos of all these correction officers getting fucking smoked?
But I mean, that's just the reality of it. I think corrections is severely not undermanned and understaffed. I mean, that's also a case, but they're undergeared tremendously, because it's like, I understand the aspect of not having a gun in the jail, because let's just say you have 5, 6, 7 people jump you at once, and okay, now they got your gun and they can really do some harm.
Yeah.
But to the extent of not carrying batons and carrying mace and all this other stuff, Okay, so then what's the point of going through the training of, you have to hit targets A, B, and C with the OC spray in your eyes?
It's a different world, man.
I don't know,
But I
man.
mean,
Because when I
I know
got
you probably agree with me on that, Slitzy. But I mean, that's the way my mind works. Is why are you going through that extensive training to where you're having all this stuff done to you, but you're not even carrying this stuff in the jail?
You get training. Now, granted, it's probably not everything everybody needs prior to starting the job, but you get 8 weeks of academy time and then 4 more weeks of on-the-job training. During that time, you find that it's not a matter of carrying weapons, it's a matter of using your mind and your voice. And your biggest weapon in there is your mind and your ability to adapt.
so
And
can
and even if they broke the law and that they're just straight scumbag, treating them like actual people, because 9 times out of 10 they will respect you if you treat them like people rather than a criminal.
Here's the thing. Once they're in there, your job is not to sentence them. Your job is not to decide how much time they get. Your job is just to make sure that the bad people don't get to the good people.
Yeah.
Right? We have big walls and we have concertina wire and fences and guys standing on wall posts with AR-15s and all these other things in place to keep the bad people away from the good people.
yeah, dude, that's crazy. You say that they didn't give you any fucking help, man. Because when I got out of the service, bro, like they sent me through like 250 hours of like, and I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but that's like financial classes, workshops, on-call psychologists, doctors. They even had us talking to civilians, like, hey, like talking to them normally, and then we would just judge their facial expressions. So then we know, I said that, I shouldn't have said that, I shouldn't have said this. But dude, like, I don't know, man, but I think your job is a lot more fucking important because if you guys fuck up, there's
I mean,
thousands of people
if you
leaving.
if you ask me, I don't think 250 hours took care of you. So
Oh no, it fucking did. That's why I went to 4 psych wars, bro. Shit. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is, like, I just think correction officers. I think the corrections, the whole department is so. People don't realize how important it is, man. Because could you imagine if people got the fuck out? If the system was fucked and people didn't give a fuck and they got out, dude, they would be fucking running fucking riots, dude, kills, bombings. There'd be a whole bunch of shit going on, dude. Because it's not.
Seeing that now. You're seeing with bail reform the way it is, and all these. Not to get into the political side of things,
Yeah.
but with politics, you're starting to see that sway, and it's gone far to the left, where the inmate or the criminal is more trusted than the police or peace officer.
Yeah.
Eventually, it'll sway the other way. When the rich people start being offended on and all the politicians start paying the price for their piss poor decision making, then you'll start seeing it go back the other way, and bail reform will be reformed, and drug laws will be reformed, and all of these other things will happen again.
okay, so real talk. I know you don't do drugs and all that slits, but what do you believe on the law when it comes to marijuana as being a formal corrections officer?
Well, I can tell you that how do I put this? That I'll bet you 60% of corrections staff consume an illegal drug. And actually, I believe the number is actually 68% consume an illegal drug at some point during their career or are currently active consuming an illegal drug. 68%.
Is that the cope
Wow.
or is that just to fucking just because?
Nope. And I want you to think about what an illegal drug is, and then I'll address your marijuana question. Illegal drugs are any drug that you don't have a prescription for, or can it be obtained through a class or stage 1 class 1 drug. Okay? Now, prescription, think about that for a second. Every single person that you've ever talked to has had leftover prescriptions that have exceeded their expiration date that they've held on to and say, well, I might keep this Vicodin in case I get another toothache. And what do? They take that son of a bitch after it's expired. That's an illegal drug.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you say class 1 and all that, I'm assuming that rules out cigarettes and or all nicotine and alcohol and all that stuff.
Yeah, I think he's talking about like,
I'm talking marijuana is a class 1, schedule 1 drug. Okay, that's the federal government is deemed as a class 1, schedule 1, and that's not because of its potency or its ability to alter the mind or anything like that. It has to do with the economic effect that it can have on society. All right, now getting back to the marijuana question. I play a lot of golf. I was involved with the union for several years. I've been all the way to the top of the union chain with NYSCOBA, the biggest corrections union in the state of New York. And I've been at golf tournaments, I've been at meetings, and I've watched judges, I've watched legislators
No fucking way.
smoke marijuana. I've watched the deputy superintendent of security for jails. I've watched him smoke marijuana.
That's
I've
fucking
watched
insane, dude.
I know that the ex-commissioner, one of the ex-commissioners for New York State, smoked marijuana because I'm friends with a guy that still smokes marijuana who was an officer who's used to smoke marijuana with him when he was the commissioner. So marijuana is not the issue. Marijuana is not something that they should even be regulating. It means nothing. It doesn't do anything that's going to harm somebody or could cause harm other than the economic aspect of things.
Aspirin,
But I mean,
Vicodin.
the other side of the other side of that is I mean, in some reality, you look at you're talking about the economic relationship between the two. And I'm not necessarily saying this because I want to smoke marijuana or anything like that, but if it's going to impact the economic relationship so much, then why isn't it legalized? If it doesn't have all these bad effects, and that it's not that big a deal, why is it not legalized countrywide?
I'll give you the answer, and it comes down to one thing: the government's ability to tax it and regulate it. Up until about 7-8 years ago, they had no way and no plan in effect to be able to tax it and make sure that the government was raking in their fair share. It's happened several times in the history of the U.S. It goes all the way back to alcohol. It goes back to tea. They didn't know how to regulate tax on tea, so that created a great big division in the country. They did the same thing with marijuana. Now you're slowly saying, they're slowly saying to the states, hey, you guys regulate this, and we're going to see how it works. And we're going to let all these states come up with different plans to regulate marijuana. And then when it's all said and done, they're going to pick the best plan, and they're going to regulate it that way.
Yo, it's funny you say that, man. Around here, like the cops around here, they've gotten like 30 new vehicles, 15 new bikes, new uniforms and shit, upgraded weapons. And I was talking to one of my homies. He's a cop. He's like, yeah, the tax on the marijuana is giving them the ability to buy. When I mean the new vehicle, I'm talking about they got motherfucking Ford Raptors and shit because of all this off-roading. All the Border Patrol Customs motherfuckers got new F-150s. Like and before, dude, they were driving around in Impalas, man. 2015 Impala, like shit vehicles. Now everybody's got nice ass cruisers and shit. So.
Yep, and that's
the
regulation of marijuana.
Well, see, I mean, the reason why I asked that is because, like, so I look at my community. Prime example, marijuana is not legalized, but my community runs around with their law enforcement runs around. Every single cop on the road in my community has a shotgun and an AR-15 in their cab, on top of their pistol that is assigned to them, whatever the case is, and they're running around in these top-notch vehicles. So, okay, so in Arizona, you're seeing all these improvements from the tax of marijuana, but what is Georgia doing so different tax-wise that is making that equivalent, if not better, than what Arizona's doing? Because, okay, great, you have a state that wants to legalize marijuana, and they're using the tax revenue as an excuse. I think, in my personal opinion, I think it all boils down to population. I mean, just in my city alone, I mean, and this is like a subdivision of the city, you're running around with 11,000 people. not including. Good God, stop calling me. Oh,
11,000 people.
the overall city prospect, you got 11,000 people running around with the same stuff, and then you got, the other subdivisions of the city. You got Kathleen, you got Centerville, and you got whatever the case is, Bon Air, Perry, all this other subdivisions that aren't meeting the 11,000 population, and they're running around with the same equipment. I think realistically, it all boils down to county perspective, and it all boils down to state perspective of what's being prioritized law enforcement wise. It's not necessarily just the tax money, but I mean, you take, and I know this is probably far more details than needed, but you take the Warner Robins perspective. That's the overall city standpoint of where I live, and we put it to a vote to donate an extra 1% to taxes. So we went from 6 to 7% sales taxes just so that we could put more money to the schools. Okay, well, our school system is off the freaking charts. It's one of the tops it's one of the top systems throughout the states. And on top of that, we got that extra 1%. If I'm being my personal opinion, that 1% is going solely based to the sports program, because the South and their sports is ridiculous.
Well, let me tell you something here too.
So
So
we have one of the top school systems.
Yo, hold on.
We
Let me
have
tell you something before I
one
forget,
of
bro. Let me tell you something before I forget, real
Discord
quick.
disconnected. Hang on.
It's fucking.
Good God, this is why I hate phone
Nah,
calls.
you're good,
on
bro.
my
You're
phone.
good. You're good. We can hear you, nigga.
Well, you can hear me, but I can't. I can barely hear you.
Oh.
I'm getting close to the neighborhood. But you have an incredible sports program. You have an incredible school system. And on top of that, you have your law enforcement at pretty much top notch, and marijuana is not legalized. Where does the sense that, to me, where is the sense in legalizing marijuana and taxing the crap out of it, other than trying to pull the United States out of debt?
Hold on, bro. Let me tell you a little something, just so you know. Arizona school systems suck dick. All right, they suck. They fucking blow ass. The roads here in my city suck dick. Like all these roads, there's potholes so big, man, that like people, if their suspension has fucked up and the state has had to pay for it. So yeah, they're spending a lot of money on the PD and the fire department and the CBPs and all this shit. We're not spending money where we need to be spending money. Schools are shit. Our parks haven't been maintained in fucking years. People actually go and water them themselves, cut the grass themselves. You are way further ahead as a city than we are, but the difference is our mayor thinks it's more important to fuck the people and let's get our fucking DOD in order first. And guess what? The DOD is in order, and now the people don't see shit, you know?
You're also talking about 1/100th of a percent of the whole economic system when you're dealing with marijuana, the legalization, even with schools. That's such a small piece of the pie. Now, one thing, you're in Georgia, you said? The one thing you have to realize is you're reaping the benefits of something that happened 25 years ago in Georgia. And you're going to know what this is. At that time, Atlanta was the fastest growing city in the United States. And it was drawing in money. It wasn't just growing in population, it was growing in wealth. So now you're seeing that fallout now in that state.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good possibility. I mean, the 25 years ago, Atlanta being the fastest growing city, whatever the case might be, I haven't been here for 25 years. So that's where it's hard for me to see it. But I mean, even just over the past year, I see the impact of the cops' vehicles changing. I see them running a bunch of not sedans, SUVs. I see them run a bunch of SUVs with running nitro systems. I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like it's hard for me to grasp that concept, and it's hard for me coming from California, where I did smoke weed. I was I was very drug and based, and I was doing a lot of things that I shouldn't have done, and it it's one of those things where it's like, okay, if they taxed this and made it legal, it'd be great. And then I see all this improvement, and I see all these things happening without it being legalized, and it's like, okay, so well, that just took my argument and made it null and void. So what's the point,
Oh,
you
I'm
know?
not saying it's going to work. I'm just saying this is what they're doing. I don't believe it's going to work at all. I think the whole idea of taxing something like that is ludicrous. I think what's happening is the people that are growing up now, your percentages have changed. The percentage of people that are in favor and are okay with smoking marijuana is more than the people that are against it or don't think it's a good idea. That's all that's changed.
And I guess that goes into the whole Constitution thing of, you're free to do everything.
That's correct. I mean, as long as your ideas or your folklores or whatever you want to call it are yours and not impacting
Yep.
somebody else, then do what you're going to do. But the minute they start having an impact on people, their property or their wealth, then something needs to be done.
I just, from a law enforcement standpoint, other than my buddy, I was kind of curious what your insight on it was.
I can tell you that when I first started with the Department of Corrections, a Greenhaven Correctional Facility, the first time I found a marijuana cigarette on an inmate, that inmate got 7 days in special housing. Now, that's not a long time in special housing. I go to another facility less than 60 miles away. I transfer 5 years later, and I find a marijuana cigarette on an inmate, the same size, same circumstance, everything. That inmate gets 6 months in SHU.
Holy shit.
Okay. Now, before I left, I do a tier hearing on an inmate who gets caught with a marijuana cigarette, and I give them a loss of recreation and a work detail for 10 days. So you can see how everything's politically advanced or degraded. You end up with cycles based on politics. And at the time when I started, it was a Democrat state. Then it went to a Republican state, and now it's back to a Democratic state. Now down south, you guys stay primarily Republican, so those swing and those values and those swings don't change that much. Here in New York State, it had a great impact on everything.
Yeah, I can see that. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, actually. So, it's just something that me and a couple buddies at work were talking about in general, and they were saying, "Well, I feel like it should be legal," and I'm like, "For what reason?" I'm like, so you can smoke a joint and live your life, and they're like, "Well, I wouldn't be able to smoke a joint because our job does drug tests, and working in manufacturing and fabrication, even if it was legalized, our job wouldn't authorize the use of it." So it's like I was like, so at what point do you get gratification, and what beneficial aspect of it is it to you? Because okay, great, they tax the crap out of it. You're helping, the federal government and everything, but this is my reality, and my standpoint on it is no matter how you look at it, you're not going to screw over the federal standpoint and the taxes and everything else. They will get their money one way or another. If they feel like they need to tax 50% just so that they can get out of debt, they're going to tax 50%. They don't care what the people have to say.
Who's paying the percentage then?
Most of the time, it's going to be the employers.
The employers. Who
The
is more
people.
likely to consume marijuana?
Yeah, the people gonna pay that shit. Yeah.
The employees.
There it is. It's tax the employee, not the employer. You're going to tax the middle class, not tax the rich. The rich are the employees, or the employers. The middle class are the employees. It comes down to one other major thing that everybody forgets this. You don't have to make marijuana legal, just don't make it illegal. If that makes sense. There's a lot of things out there that we do that could be construed as illegal, but they're just not. There's no law in effect.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. That makes sense. I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's like I said, it was a conversation that spiked up at work, and then I started really thinking about it, and I was like, you know what? This just doesn't make sense to me. Like, even because as most people were shocked to find out, and I mean, even I was shocked to find out, but Georgia went Democratic, and that's one of the big talks about it, and it's like, it doesn't make sense to me because I look at the tax aspect of gun control, purchase guns, and I look at the tax revenue when it comes to the nicotine, and I look at the tax revenue of alcohol, whatever the case might be, and it's just like it, you know, throwing marijuana into the mix just doesn't make sense to me, especially when we already have all this top-notch stuff.
Yo, no,
So it
no,
just
no
is
bullshit,
it
bro.
is it just a make the rich richer aspect, or is it
Well,
or is it an actual economic value to the country?
Well, this is one of the first things that happened when they started making marijuana legal and a trade in states.
I'll tell you what happened. Everybody in prison was wondering why the fuck they're in prison if it's not legal.
Nope. They opened it up on the New York Stock Exchange for
Oh
trade.
yeah, that's true.
Now the reason
Yeah,
why
I
alcohol
didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
the
no,
reason why alcohol has never been labeled as a Schedule 1 drug, which impacts more people than marijuana ever would, is because of the economic impact it would have.
Because of the tax revenue behind it.
Tax revenue, oh my God, it's huge. Think about how many people you know that have gone and smoked marijuana or have had problems with alcoholism. Alcoholism outweighs it 10 to 1.
And you have more people not admitting, but I guess admitting would be the right word. Admitting to rehab and
Yep.
and all this other aspects that benefits the government more.
yeah, and then no bullshit. You've never heard of anybody ODing on marijuana. You know what I mean? So
That's correct.
The other thing you got to look at is, yeah, you take a drug test. If they legalize marijuana, they're going to sit there and say, hey, it's legal. You can't test for it and say that I can get fired for using a legal substance like a cigarette. So those laws will change, the testing will change, and it will cost more money to do it again.
But see, that's the thing is like my job in specific, like I was saying earlier. Okay, I can take a legal drug for depression and anxiety if it's prescribed, which it was. But my job had the authority to sit there and tell me, you can't take this or you're going to be fired. And they told me flat out, they're like, you have exactly 2 weeks to get this out of your system. If you come back and you pop positive for running these drugs, you will be terminated. So it's just one of those things that it's like, okay, so then you put marijuana into that aspect. Okay, a lot of people run marijuana for anxiety. A lot of people are running marijuana for a lot of different health issues in general, Parkinson's and whatever the case is. Okay, so if I can't take these doctor prescribed medications already that are not illegal, what good is it going to benefit the fabrication and manufacturing aspect? The blue collar workforce that has these strict drug control laws behind them, which, if you're asking my personal opinion, I say would be 90% of your average use under a legal standpoint, that they can't even take these things already. So what good is it going to be legalizing it if you can't take it already?
Are you under contract or do you work open?
It is a open door policy.
I guess it's the same way that they can say this is a smoke-free building. We don't want people smoking in our building, and they post it all over and they enforce it.
has to do with other industries like mine, where it would be expected that I have to live to a different value than the people that I'm controlling or protecting.
I mean, don't get me wrong when I'm saying this, but I mean I do understand like my personal work. I do understand the impact behind it. Okay, we're building school buses for children.
Oh, that's mitigation for lawsuits. That's all that's about. Then, yeah, I wasn't aware that that's what you did. That's all it comes down to. Because the first thing they're going to do is they're going to look at the values over time of people being drug tested, and the control that they have over the consumption that people have outside of their workplace. When they go to court, the first thing a defense attorney or prosecuting attorney is going to ask is, "Hey, have you consumed marijuana while you were welding on that bus?" And if somebody says yes, your company.
Well, and see that's my whole thing. So, like I said, that's the blue collar workforce. Okay, I work on school buses, but let's just say somebody is a blue collar, and for argument's sake, and they're building houses. Okay, so if something goes wrong with the house, they're going to sue the company that built it, and great fine and dandy, and it's going to turn into that's going to be the standing argument and case for every single freaking thing that happens. That's why
Yeah,
that's why because everything that's built in this world is done by a blue collar.
agreed. And that's what it comes down to. It comes down to
So,
tort
but
reform,
but see
lawsuits.
but see when you're if you legalize everything and you're going to have all these constant lawsuits, the city's losing money, the state's losing money, and the overall government's going to lose money too. That's my overall argument behind it. So I understand not allowing these drugs, even if it is legalized. Okay, great. I mean, not even necessarily a doctor. I was going to say a doctor, but but we'll just use a doctor for example. Okay, now you're dealing with somebody's life. If they're using marijuana or they're using nicotine, alcohol, antidepressants, whatever the case is, you're gonna have an impacting lawsuit that's going to cause the overall government to lose money. So,
But
at what point does people realize that okay, you can tax the crap out of this stuff, but overall you're still going to lose money?
because of, once again, lawsuits. Think about the last time your company or a company that made school buses was sued. Do you think it was ever asked once of the person on the stand that produced that bus, "Hey, do you drink a lot? Did you drink last night before you welded on that bus?" No, they didn't ask that because alcohol is legal. You legalize marijuana, it takes that question off the table.
I strongly beg to differ on that one.
Because I'm telling you, here's the reason I support that example. I was at a question and answer with a member of the union in Albany through the Inspector General's office, and I was there, and they go into questioning. The attorneys question the employee. First questions are generic questions: your name, your rank, how long have you been with the department, all of these other things. The the first primary question that they asked of this employee is, have you consumed marijuana while employed by the Department of Corrections? Now, that employee waited 20 seconds, and I had to be the one to tell the employee, listen, you are compelled during a question and answer to answer the questioning. You've agreed to that, or you can be forced to forfeit your position. The question was answered by the employee when they said, yes, I have. At that point, that employee is no longer going to be employed by the Department of Corrections. Now, had marijuana been legalized at that point, that question could not be asked. They could not have gone into that question. They couldn't, just like they didn't. The first question was, hey, do you drink a lot? Did you consume alcohol prior to working with the Department of Corrections? No, you can't ask that because alcohol was legal. But at that time, marijuana was not.
Well, and see, that's why I say I strongly beg to differ because I've I've had to fill the role of going to a legal sentence for questioning, or my department in in specific. I've had, Bluebird's lawyers lined up. Bluebird's where I work. Bluebird's lawyers lined up, and I've had the, um, and then they had management lined up. They had all of Bluebird's management. They had the department management. So me and my cell leader are sitting there. Our supervisors are standing there, and we have all these lawyers. And the very first question over a kid that weighed 450 pounds breaking a flip seat, the seats that when you're looking at a bus, the seats that fold up for the emergency exits,
Okay.
those are called flip seats. You had a 450-pound kid sit on it, and when he sat down on it, the freaking seat broke, and he ended up injuring himself. But we're sitting there in a freaking lawsuit, and Bluebird lost the lawsuit simply because of just because a kid got hurt, 16-year-old kid, and it wasn't even a severe injury. And the very first question was whoever welded this, we had to go back through the timestamp on the seat and everything, break down who welded that day, whatever. Was this person is this person a heavy drinker? And alcohol is legal, so it's all a chemically mind altering thing. It's not even necessarily marijuana, it's alcohol, it's everything. Okay, you got alcohol that's legal, and you're still getting questioned in law if alcohol was an issue.
Remember what the question was, though, that they asked the employee when I was dealing with it. Have you consumed marijuana while employed with the Department of Corrections? Not the question wasn't, did you consume marijuana last night?
But see, our question was does this person drink regularly? It's not even necessarily on the job, because obviously on the job it's 100% forbidden.
And their answer could have been define regularly. It's a matter of perspective. Okay, that's my point. What you've got is you're dealing with, now in your case, you're dealing with mitigation of lawsuits, right on down to the single weld. All right, when you have something happen because of all the lawsuits and the silly lawsuits suing McDonald's because the water was too hot, all of this other crap develops. The child that hurt themselves on the faulty seat that they're declaring was faulty, or because they were just too big to sit in the seat, well, shame on the parent for even getting to that point. But some greedy lawyer along the way says, I want my 33%, so I'm going to push this lawsuit. Now they're going to ask this question of you because they need to try to prove that you were negligent in the weld, or whoever made the weld was negligent.
Well, there's one thing that you got to really look at. This whole conversation that you guys are all going through, I will bet you money there is more people smoking marijuana in those legal states than have ever been prescribed as a medication for a problem.
Well, that's probably the case, which is why it's becoming legal in more and more states. And that's why a lot of states have gone ahead and only gone with the medical marijuana avenue rather than the outright legalization of marijuana.
Yeah, because, you look at all the colleges that are out there boycotting and striking and everything else, saying, hey, make marijuana legal. Well, how many of those kids going to that school actually need it because of a medical environment? Probably 1 or 2%.
I would agree with that.
I bet you the number's lower than that, because any doctor will write something as long as you're paying the copay.
Yeah.
And the insurance is paying the other part.
Exactly. That's a huge moneymaker in itself.